Andy has an unhealthy love for Batman.
Unhealthy.
Alice has an obsession with Nightmare Before Christmas. So the wedding cake was the haunted mansion with Jack and Sally dressed as Batman and Batgirl standing before it. Do you have pics of it? Like on Facebook or somewhere? I would like to see that. Their house looks like Halloween attacked Gotham. His inspirations include Don Newton, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, Adam Hughes, Steve Rude, Doug Snade, and many others. Andy varies his style from classic illustration to caricature-ish and silly, blaming it entirely on the whim of the pencil at the moment. Ah, it's the pencil's fault.
And the writers.
Oh, I've done so many terrible things to Andy.
Batgirl may be beautiful, or she may be tripping over her own cape. Katie Cook graduated from the College for Creative Studies in 2004 with a BFA in illustration.
That's in Detroit.
Ah, Motor City.
No, because I'm ghetto. As you can tell.
Her love of cartooning and comics led her to where she is today. She's done licensed work for DC, Marvel, Star Wars, Heroes, Lord of the Rings, and more. She loves being a nerd, so being able to draw nerdy things for a living is the best thing ever. She's married to the best guy ever. Ryan keeps her grounded while still being an enabler when she wants to buy very expensive, stupid things like her cats.
I think I wrote that on my website like in 2000.
Really? It's not
3 or 4. That is not current. Does it mention I have a kid?
No.
There you go.
Ah, there you go. The constant support of her family, pets, friends, and even complete strangers is what drives her to succeed in art. She says, "Thank you, everyone. Because of you, I am what I am," which means I'm all your fault. Is that still true?
Well, I am everybody else's fault. I also do work for the Jim Henson Company, Fraggle Rock, recently. That's been my bread and butter for a while. If anyone's familiar with Fraggles, you know, not like I'm old or anything, because I grew up with that. And some of us grew up with My Little Pony and didn't get on it with this whole new version.
Well, I was going to start with a few questions, and then we'll open it up to questions from the floor. I'm sure you guys have plenty. I was going to ask first, what was your first exposure to My Little Pony, the current My Little Pony Friendship is Magic?
I grew up with My Little Pony. I was born in 1980. I mean, I was a little girl at the peak of My Little Pony madness for Generation 1. And then I grew up and I dropped off the face and I looked at my niece before I had a kid when it was Generation 3 and I was like, what the heck are those? Those are dumb.
Really?
And then Friendship is Magic came out and I kind of avoided it for a while, but I have a little girl, but then eventually I watched and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I liked it more than my kid did, so I got really into it. Because I mean, I love the new series, but, you know, I've been there from the start, and then I ignored the terrible bits of it, and now I'm back on board.
Okay, cool. How about you, Andy?
Well, as far as, you know, when My Little Pony came out, which was 82, I think, yeah, that's for girls. And also I was, you know, the child here was playing with them, but I was at the age where I was getting past toys and moving on to stones and sticks and cave drawings. You know, when Friendship is Magic came around, we had a friend of ours who tried to introduce us to it, and we're like, it's ponies. You know, no.
Yeah.
No. And
a lot of people
it took a little while, and I came home and caught my wife watching it. And she was going, and then after an episode or two, she was like, okay, one more. And it came to an episode where she's like, yeah, it's kind of cute, but, you know, I'll watch another one. And there was a Benny Hill in-joke, where there was a chase scene with this Benny Hill version of Yakety, or pony version of Benny Hill's Yakety Sax. She's like, oh, okay, this is hooking me. And the next episode was Diamond Dogs, which, for those who don't know, The entire episode is a giant David Bowie reference for old David Bowie fans.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm sold, that's it.
Yeah.
This show is brilliant. And that was the one that hooked me too. And then we just sat down one night and just watched as many as we could, as our eyes could tolerate. And when they really hooked me was when they referred to the headless horse. And I immediately grabbed paper, and then my first pony drawing was the headless horse. I was like, that's it, this show is brilliant.
So that was before the comic was talked about, you started drawing.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. Did you, Katie? I know you're writing the comic, but.
I was very vocal about what a fan I was, and that's what made IDW approach me in the first place.
So you were drawing ponies?
Nope,
Like
I wasn't posting pony art. I was just really loud on Twitter about my love of ponies.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky enough that I have some respect in the comic book industry. I've done a lot of projects over the past few years, and my webcomic has a lot of fans and a lot of people that really respect it. It lost the Harvey Award a few weeks ago, for anyone that cares. But all of a sudden I got this email and it was like, do you want to do the My Little Pony comic? And at first it was like, yes. Well, of course I do. And originally it was like, do you want to write and draw? And it was like, no. And I really took it as an opportunity because I'm known as an artist. I'm an art comic person. And all of a sudden I was like, this could be my opportunity to be a writer. Because I've written my own stories, but I always did the artwork for them. And all of a sudden here's a genre and a group of characters that I thought, I can write this. And I can make it feel like the show. And I can do what I want.
Yeah.
So I became a writer, and I like it. It's fun because I don't have to draw what I wrote. Because I put in a lot of really complex panels because I know Andy has to do it. And there are a lot of text messages on my phone from Andy that are like, "Why do you hate me?"
Yeah.
We can't actually reveal what they really say.
No, there are children in this room. Because it is, it's not very nice.
Well, as far as writing the story goes, I was wondering how much freedom do you have because of the successful show? Like, have they given you guidelines of where to take the story? Or
Well, it's, I had pitches for different stories, and then they kind of said, well, let's go with this one. So they picked from the ideas that I had. And other than that, their only rule is keep it in the voice of the show.
Okay.
You know, this is the biggest concern that people have online, is that Andy and I are making a little girl's comic. We are making an all ages comic. We are making a story that people that are kids can appreciate and people that are adults can appreciate. We are not making strawberry shortcake. Oh, we've got to make a lemon meringue pie today. We're not doing that. So rest assured that we're going to make you a good comic.
There are no lemon meringue pies in this comic.
There might be a pony named Lemon Meringue. I don't know. But when I look at these people online, they're like, oh, they're just going to make the comic for little girls, or it's going to be like the old comics. It's like, no, I mean, Andy and I are the least appropriate people to make a pony comic. Yet they gave us the task anyway. But we're fans, and we're going to make it good, so.
Is there a comic from the first iteration of My Little Pony? Was there another comic?
There was a comic in the early 90s, I believe, based on the original My Little Pony designs. That was kind of short-lived. There is a pony comic for Friendship is Magic done in Germany.
This is all like clip art.
It's all clip art, and the gags are really kind of weak. And, you know, fans accept it because it's all they've got. But what little I've seen of it, the fans are like, I'll take it because it's all we get, but this is terrible. So,
okay, that's interesting.
So hopefully we can give them something to cheer.
Can you tell us about the story, the first issue of the comic, where does it pick up like after the wedding? Can you tell us where it fits into the story?
Well, they've already released a synopsis for
That's
two.
true.
So,
That's true. We can reveal a little
what would you
bit.
like to say? So the villain is Andy.
Continuation. Oh yeah, I don't know about that. Can you say?
I gotta tell you, this was the greatest delight for me. There was one particular page in this book that I was like, just get to this page, just get to this page. The whole book is for the payoff of Queen Chrysalis. So
she is our main antagonist through this 4-issue story arc.
Big bad.
Yeah, and that is actually a big difference that we have with the comic than the show has, is we can tell a bigger story.
Yeah.
You know, the show at most has 2 episodes. We have 4 full-length issues.
I was going to ask how the story arc. It's going to be 4 issues.
Yeah. And our first one, I mean, we've hit it out of the park, I think, speaking for us. It's a big story for the first go.
It is an epic pony adventure featuring the main 6, of course, because Twilight Sparkle is the best pony.
Oh, she's my favorite pony.
Applejack.
I never really learned who's favorite pony.
We all have different opinions.
Applejack
That's
is
it.
favorite.
That's
Well, I wanted to ask what, in terms of telling a story through comics, what do you think comics can do that a TV show cannot do?
There's limitations to both and there's advantages to both. I mean, we can do a lot more expressive treatment to a story than they can in the show. We can also we have an advantage of a different pace. We can set the mood a little differently. You know, in animation you have motion, of course, but with comics, we don't have a budget limitation. You know, we can take our scenery or our explosions or our action or whatever as far as we wish to take it. You know.
And I think that you can get more drama in a comic book. Like, let's say, you know, someone is being attacked by a monster. In the movie, it's like that 30 seconds of the battle royale going, and, you know, then you got to cut away to some other action. You know, you have a big, beautiful splash page of that dramatic moment. People zero in on that, and they're like, that you got to stare at that for a while because you're like, oh, crap is going down. I don't want to turn the page. And you don't get that in, say, a TV show because they've got 20-some minutes and commercial breaks to tell the story. So we get to play with, you know, like Annie said, the pacing a little bit more and you know, make the book flow with our stories.
And we have no commercials.
And we have no commercials.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I moderated George's Genty's Buffy panel yesterday, and I asked him the same question. And he brought out that, of course, in comics, you can do things like in Buffy, Dawn, the character Dawn becomes a giant. She becomes, you know, huge. And in a comic, you can render that so vividly, and whereas with special effects, there are more limitations. The comics can do more easily what your imagination can put in a story, which is one of the things I love about comics. And speaking of that, I did want to ask you, both of you, what so far is the easiest thing about doing this in comic form and the most challenging thing?
Well, it's for me the fact that I'm writing something that's not for me to draw. Because I know how I would handle. Well, no, this is challenging for me. Because I think anybody who's a writer knows how they want the page handled. But I've stepped back. I don't send Andy thumbnails. I don't send him, you know. So you know this panel here. I really would like this layout to be like this. I'm stepping away from that, and that's weird because I am Twilight Sparkle. I am a control freak. So for me, that's been a challenge, but it's also, you know, I trust Andy completely with this project, and after having seen the first issue, I would never question him again, because I've seen it.
Wait a minute, you question me?
What's the easiest thing for you?
The easiest is just writing moments for Pinkie Pie. If any of you follow me on Twitter, I am known to be slightly funny. It happens. I have my moments.
Definitely.
And Pinkie Pie and I have a very similar voice as for the sense of humor. So it's been really fun to write for her. And Rarity is really fun to write.
Oh, really?
Rarity is amazing to write
That
for.
surprises me.
No way, I love Rarity.
Do you?
Don't talk crap about Rarity.
Okay.
She's such a drama queen.
I love her. She has the biggest personality. She's flawed. I love her.
Bigger than Rainbow Dash?
Rainbow Dash is
Her
a jerk.
personality? Oh. Oh, it's going down.
I don't mind saying it. She is kind of a jerk. She's a little diva and she won't admit it. I'm the best pony.
It's a controversial panel.
Let's all get into our opinions
Yeah,
here.
everybody always asks, who's best pony?
Yeah, that's
They
the
never
first
say-
thing we're always
They never
asking.
say, who's least best pony?
Who's your least favorite? What's been your easiest or your most challenging thing on working on this, and the easiest one?
The most challenging, I'm used to working with licensed items, DC, Marvel, whatever, and of course this is a licensed thing going through Hasbro. So there is an extra step in our processing. She writes the book, it goes to the editor, and then it goes to the licensor. So we've got an extra step. Then the script comes to me, I do the art, goes to the editor, then it goes to the licensor, extra step. And since we are working in conjunction with Hasbro, they have put the halt on a couple of gags or ideas or whatever because, oh, we've done something very similar in an upcoming episode, you don't want to repeat this.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it means that we've gotten hints about future episodes.
Yes,
so
we know
that's
stuff
actually-
you guys
But it's kind of annoying to send in a script and then after they've had it in their hand for 2 weeks, come back and say, yeah, we're dealing with that in this in season 3. So yeah, don't do that. It's like, oh gee, oh my God.
It's odd because, both being artists ourselves, we give ourselves all the freedom we want. And here we're on a bit of a leash,
Yeah.
which we're not used to. And, it's like trying to put a cat on a leash. And,
Artists are like cats.
yes. So that's a little difficult. And I got to tell you, one of the most difficult parts of Pinkie Pie makes me tired.
Drawing her?
Drawing Pinkie Pie makes me tired because I draw her twice. I draw her and I'm like, that's not enough. That's Pinkie Pie. It's not Pinkie Pie. Oh, I gotta make her Pinkie Pie.
Yeah, you gotta push her like that.
Yeah,
extra.
you really have to push her, and that is actually one of the advantages again of a comic book is you can really push the mood. So I was like, okay, I gotta take this a little farther. One of the other advantages we have, going back on that idea, is we're staying on model to a degree, both with story and art, but they've also given us a little bit of freedom. Our leash does have some slack in it.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot more graphic approaches and design approaches in the book than you would ever see on the show because they have to stay consistent with art. We don't. We can use more shadows. We can use more mood. We can use more cross-hatching, whatever. The easiest thing with drawing the comics is it's so organic. The only time I have to break out a ruler and a T-square is to make the panels. And other than that, it's just, curves and smooth and very flowing, which is great. And the advantage of having a writer that is also an artist is Katie writes visually. I've gotten scripts in the past where a writer writes for writing. And Veronica bats her eyelashes while expressing her, there's 5 actions going on in her face, and I have to call the editor. We'll pick one.
Yeah.
It's one panel. I can't draw her crying, happy, sad.
You even have depth, Andy. You're missing that out. We can put that all over the panel. We have layers.
Like an onion. And again, I do have a lot of freedom with the art. I've done a lot of things with the art. As soon as I drew it, I was like, this is coming back to me with a big post-it note. Absolutely not. And I was very, very pleased with Hasbro. Hasbro was very happy with the art. They had no changes at all.
And there is stuff in there that when I saw the pencils, I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. When I drew it, I was like, I don't know about this.
Well,
I'm
there-
finishing it anyway, but.
there's things that are in the script because, like Andy said, I write very visually. So each panel, I have a little kind of description above it saying, so and so does this, so and so does this. There you go. And then the dialogue, and Andy's just going nuts with it, which I love. I mean, each page is really detailed and full of action. It's really dynamic. So I've had a blast, you know, just kind of seeing the pages come in.
And they've improved it all. That's great.
Yeah.
You haven't run into any roadblocks with that creativity.
With licensed thing, we were kind of expecting roadblocks.
Sure.
You know.
That's what I was wondering too, because it's so established now, like how they're going to approach the comic.
I think that after they saw what Andy and I were doing with issue 1, they basically went, oh, they know what they're doing.
Okay.
They're good.
At the get-go, we were getting kind of...
Yeah, I would get emails all the time about the first script saying, I don't know about that joke. Don't do that joke. No, don't do that joke. And I would push back a little bit, like, no, it's funny, really, it's funny, come on. And now with issue 2, I haven't gotten any notes back for issue 2, and they've had it in their hand for a couple of weeks. And the only thing I've got back is, yeah, everybody has a nice moment in this. I was like, all right. Because there's a big thing in issue 2 that I was like, this is never going to happen. They are going to come back to me and say, no. It's just going to have a big red no on it. And so far, it's just been, yeah, everybody has a nice moment in it.
That's exciting to hear. That's intriguing.
Yeah, so when you're expecting them to come back and say, redo this whole thing, it's nice when it's like, oh, I'm good at what I do. Yeah.
You like me, you really like me.
Well, one of the things I love about the Brony fandom is how active they are and how they create fan art and they have a huge amount of comment on the stories. And I love the way the show has incorporated some of that, like with the character of Derpy Hooves. And I was wondering if Derpy.
Who?
They took her name away.
The comic is open to that sort of interaction with the fans, or if you have had any thoughts about that.
We've had a lot of people ask us to put in their original characters.
Well, not so direct. I just.
Oh no! Well, no. It's
well,
it's one of those things. It's, you know, Andy and I are fans. We're writing it as fans. We will not put your original character in it. That is because so many people have asked. And if we put in yours, we can't put in ours. So.
Well, it also runs into legality.
Yeah. Because Hasbro's going to own your character the second that we
Right.
put it in there, just so you know.
You know, somebody comes up and says, I have a backstory for Lyra, I have a backstory for Vinyl Scratch or whatever. And we read it and we use it.
You don't own it anymore.
You don't own it, but I wrote it and I'm going to take you to court over it. And I'm going to take Hasbro to court over it. And now we're out of a job, you're in court, and I mean, that's an extreme, but it does happen. And it's why companies say we don't take unsolicited samples or examples, because we can get in trouble. So as much as we love the idea of the fan fiction that's out there, we can't touch it.
At all.
You know?
Yeah, I have never read a pony fan fiction.
Right.
I haven't even touched
So
on
you can't.
Yeah, and I've had people, can you read this? I'd rather not.
Right.
Because it's protecting you and protecting me. I mean, I'd like to, but
Sure.
I can't.
Sure.
You know.
That makes perfect sense. I have more questions. Well, this is kind of a goofy question, but since you're both from comics, I was wondering if you see the various ponies as different superheroes.
They're all ne'er-do-well.
Yeah, they are all Supergirl.
In their own right.
It's funny because I've drawn a couple of pony versions of superheroes.
Oh, yeah.
I've done a couple of Wonder Woman and Supergirl, and they immediately get snatched up. And I did, you should see the script, because I draw all over the script. You know, if there's something, I need an expression or an idea or whatever, or I'll draw things like, one night I was like, okay, I need something to counteract ponies, and it was Star Trek Day, so I put it in Star Trek, and I had my Star Trek marathon for the anniversary, and suddenly there's drawings of Elizabeth Benner and Gary Mitchell and Jim Kirk all over my script and things like that. What was the question?
Well, like if you
Star
would, it's just
Trek,
more like you
Star
relate the
Wars.
pony, like you love Applejack, is she like the pony version of Thor, or like is she?
Well, let's just cast the Justice League right now. Together, Andy. Rainbow Dash can be Aquaman.
Wouldn't you need a seatbelt for Aquaman?
Old school ponies. I guess Batman would almost have to be Twilight.
Batman would have to be Twilight.
Batman would have to be Twilight.
Because of, again, obsessive, compulsive,
Yeah.
list-making tactician. Superman, I guess, would have to
And
be
we've never,
Avatar.
we briefly saw what Twilight's parents looked like, and we've never seen them again.
And with the movie, I never came home.
Celestia's a little bit like Alfred. I guess that's Spike.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, Spike is Alfred. No, Spike is Robin. Spike is Robin. We've just doomed Spike.
No. Spike's gonna die! Oh no!
No, he'll grow up to be Night Spike.
Little
Spike
sticks.
Wayne. Spike Wayne. Rarity's Wonder Woman.
Rarity's Wonder Woman.
Pinkie Pie would have to be the. Well,
Black Canary.
I guess Rainbow Dash is Flash.
Yeah, Rainbow Dash would have to be Flash.
Black Canary.
Fluttershy would be Black Canary because of the scream. Can Pinky be Plastic Man?
Oh,
Oh.
bingo. See, that's why I married her. But yeah,
If you're not a
you
big
know,
comics person, Plastic Man is amazing.
Well, before I turn it over to the audience for questions, I did want to ask, for you getting back to yourselves as artists, who your greatest artistic influences are and inspiration, either within comics or without? Because I always think this is a really interesting question.
we're going to be here a lot. Because I know for both of us, we admire a lot of artists. But when it comes to comics, my all-time favorite is one that most people haven't heard of anymore. I'm showing my age with an artist named Don Newton, who did Batman and Detective for many, many years, in the late 70s, early 80s, up until he died. And also Garcia Lopez, who even if you don't know him, you know his art because it became the DC style artist for about 2 decades. Where if you didn't draw like Garcia Lopez, we don't want you. And his art was on all merchandise, and they still use it for merchandise. Adam Hughes, Steve Rude, Doug Snade, who's a pinup artist in Playboy, who you would know his art. You won't know his name, but you would know his art. You'd recognize it immediately.
For all of you that get Playboy.
Yes. For the art. And, but, Magnola, all of them. But those are my big ones. So.
My number one, shining brightest in my mind all the time, is Sergio Aragonés. I mean, I think you can see it in my work. You can see it in my personality. I wish I could grow a mustache just so I could be just like him.
That's why she draws so tiny.
But I mean, I love him, and other than that, as far as going back to writing style, I write like the comedy that I love, which is Monty Python and Blackadder, old school BBC. That's my bread and butter when I was a kid, because we didn't get a lot of channels, but apparently in Canada you get a lot of old BBC stuff. So that's what I grew up with, and I was obsessed with Monty Python. My senior show in high school, we redid the Span skit, you know, with a group of kids, and I had to like convince these kids that it was funny. And I was like, no, let's do it, it's funny. So I love that kind of humor. So that's what I'm going for this. Other than that, I like Star Wars and Muppets. They make me happy.
Yeah.
I do a lot of work for George.
That's cool. Did you see the little kid, or the, not little kid, but cosplaying Tim yesterday from Holy Grail?
I was just at Star Wars Celebration in Orlando, and there was this little fat kid doing a cosplay of George.
I saw photos of him all
It was
over
the
the
little George Lucas.
There is a photo of him out there with his group of slave layers. And then he's going to remember that the rest of his life.
And it's really hard to tell because George is like 3 feet tall, so you didn't know which one was which.
George looks like a hand in a flannel shirt and a beard.
No, but I mean, I love George Lucas and the world that he's created. I'm a big Star Wars fan, but other than that, the Muppets are above everything. My favorite thing ever created. So.
And you know, the Muppets actually are a really good reference for us when it comes to the ponies.
Yeah.
Because it's very similar in humor
Yep.
when you really think about it. I mean, the Muppets never spoke down to kids. It was generated, you know, the Muppet Show was generated as an adult show, but anybody could watch it.
It's at all ages. It is for everybody.
Pop culture references.
And that to me is one of the things about My Little Pony that I think that has made it so successful. Yes, the show's primary interest is to generate an audience with little girls. However, don't write it for little girls. Write it for a viewing audience. It is very intelligent. It does not speak down to children. It has moral. It has lessons. It has ideas brought in, you know, disguise of humor. But I've never seen a moment in the show where they're like, okay, we really have to dumb this down so that little children will comprehend it with their little monkey brains.
Right.
This is not.
Right.
We're not treating it like Sesame Street, which I love, by the way. I have to watch it all the time. I have a toddler. And saying that it's more like the Muppets is a great way, you know, because Pinkie Pie's Gonzo, you know, with their craziness. But no, like I said in the beginning, we're treating this like an all-ages book. We're not dumbing it down. We're not making it sappy. We're not putting foo-foo princesses in it.
Is that especially challenging? One of the things I admire about the show is the fact that they have true crossover appeal generationally. I mean, they successfully pull it off.
I think that it is more challenging to write a moronic kids book. Because I've read a lot. It is harder to go, the happy puppy goes to the fair because you want to murder yourself. If I was writing that pony book, I would not be sitting here right now because I would have pulled all my hair out.
Yeah.
And that's not what Hasbro wants. It's not what the fans want, so that's not what we're doing. And sadly, that's what a lot of people expect from the first book. And that's the first hurdle that Andy and I have to overcome, is that there are fans that are excited about the comic because they've looked into my past, they've looked into Andy's past, and they know that we're not going to do this subpar thing. And then there's the people that are just writing it off automatically going, well, they're just going to write it for little girls.
Really?
It's for little girls. This is fan service.
It's going to be about Fluttershy's bunny farm.
Yeah.
Which is like the second story arc, by the way.
Yes, the bunny farm is on fire!
She has to run out like Pee-wee in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, holding all the animals.
Carrying everything. Okay, I think we'll open it up to questions. I guess we don't have a separate mic. I know at the bigger, earlier in the day, they had people raise their hands. Just talk loudly.
Don't use your Fluttershy voice.
Yeah.
It's fine, gentlemen.
The show's writer said that Lauren Faust developed a Bible that told the story of Equestria and all the characters and such. Did they give you something like that, or are they just trusting your knowledge of the show?
Well, I certainly didn't get it. But for me, I haven't had them come back and say that's not how that works. And we created kind of a new land for part of this. And they didn't come back to me and say, no, you can't do that.
They have been, they watch over us.
Yeah.
But they, like I said, they haven't really loosened the slack on the leash. They basically only point out something where we step on their toes.
Yeah. Or there's just been a couple lines where like, well, I don't think that Applejack would say that line. I actually think that's more like a Rainbow Dash line. And I was like, all right, I get that. And that's really the only thing I've gone through. And that, to me, shows that they're paying attention, because they're not just letting it go. So I really think that people that love the show are going to be happy with the comic. because it's written in the voice of the show.
The only direct thing from Hasbro as far as reference that I got is I got a 5 CD set for the licensors. And no, you can't have it. And it is you know, a mountain of artwork, but a lot of it is artwork that was developed before the show aired, and it's different.
They have more pointy noses.
Yeah, it's very pointy.
Yeah, it's for toy packaging and coloring books, and it's all this vector stuff.
So there's actually a lot of it that I'm deliberately ignoring. And I've only cracked it open a couple of times because it's like, I don't want to, my job is not to copy a model. Well, this is exactly the lines for Rainbow Dash. No, if I can't have a little bit of myself in it, I'm not interested in doing it. And they agreed. They were like, we don't want it to be a copycat of the show. You know, go have fun with it. And we've done beyond that. We've had a ball with it. But that's the only stuff that we've actually gotten from them that they said, you know, here, use this.
What advice do you have for budding young artists to get to your level?
Our level? Do you really want to do that? Fried food, lots of donuts.
Like the one I had this morning. Someone brought me a grilled cheese donut because they want me to die.
Yes. I would say, I mean, the most common thing is continue to draw. Don't stop. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I'm a firm believer. People come up to me all the time, oh, you have such talent. And I think that's such a crock. I don't believe in talent. It just, when you say that to somebody, oh, you have a talent, well, it sounds like you just said, well, you have ESPN or telekinesis. It sounds like this supernatural ability that a person either has it or they don't. If talent is anything, it is the drive to continue the skill you want to learn to do. If it's what you want to do, you will keep doing it. So just keep doing it. Draw everything and always improve what you've done. You know, if you don't like it, draw it again. Or if you're having trouble with something, move on to something else and come back to it. But don't stop. Don't get frustrated.
Yeah, it's it's really kind of sad. It's my husband and a few of my friends refer to me as the Patton Oswalt of comics because I'm a very popular B-lister.
And she guest starred on King of the Hill.
Yeah. But it's, you know, you have to draw every day. You have to have drive. You have to have ambition because I'm a female creator in a male-dominated industry, and it can suck. But I took that title, and I basically became the darling of the independent reign. And I drew every day. I do a webcomic. Even though I have all these other projects, I still take a day and post every Friday my own comic. And that basically shows all of these editors that I can meet their deadlines and still meet my own. And then it's just having your own voice, because I have a style that is not Jim Lee. I am not marketable in mainstream comics, yet I get work in the comics industry because I just have fun. I'm just, you know, I just do my own thing. I fight with editors, so I don't know why they keep hiring me, because I believe in my joke or I believe in what I'm doing. And you need to have that. You can't be a doormat, you can't turn in stuff late, you just do the best that you can on time and you get hired. And it really helps to have your own voice, and you're going to get that by drawing every day. Because the more you draw, the more your own style starts to come out. I am really happy with the fact that people look at my work and they can tell automatically, oh, that's Katie Cookpiece. Because they're not sitting there going, that looks like it could be this guy or this guy. Which is my biggest pet peeve, is when I walk around an artist alley and it's like, well, that's a knockoff of a Jim Lee Batman, and there's a knockoff of the same one by two different people. Okay, there we go. Because you're not developing your own voice at that point. It's great to have influence, it's great to have reference, but the best thing you can do in comics is to be yourself and have fun, because if you are not having fun drawing comics for a living, you're doing something wrong. It's like, this is my job. I make comic books. If I woke up every day, I was like, God, I gotta go to work, I don't deserve to do it. So I just have fun with it every single day. I wake up and I draw or I write. I look at my kid and it's like, so, are you going to be funny? Give me an idea for Gronk this week?
Do something. Do something fun.
But yeah, that's, just do what you do and do it every day.
And if you don't know how to do something, you learn to do it that night.
And I have...
We need you to draw a car. I can draw a car.
It's like, even if you can't draw a car.
And
fun fact, I have never submitted a piece to a company. They have always come to me, and that's because I make myself available. I put myself out online. I have a Twitter account that I use all the time. I have Facebook, I have a blog, I have a DeviantArt account. Put yourself out everywhere, and if you're good at what you do, people come to you. I have never sent an email to an editor saying, you know what, I'd really like this job. And it's worked for me so far. Be an arrogant bastard, and the work will come to you.
Yes. And I mean, on that note, she's accurate. When Alice and I did the Haunted Mansion comic, we found out, oh God, there's a Haunted Mansion comic. This was right as we were prepping for our wedding, and we had a Haunted Mansion themed wedding. And we were like, well, that's it. We're doing this comic book. That's our wedding present to ourselves. And we told the editor, we've got an idea for a story. Well, we don't really have room. We're doing this story. Okay. And here's our story. Well, that really conflicts with the other story that we're doing. We're not changing anything. Okay.
Fighting with
well, you can't use this gag. We're using this gag. Okay. And we pressed it. And that's what you have to do sometimes with the industry is press yourself against it and tell them you're using me. Okay, we'll use you. So.
More questions? Oh, here's one.
Will you be seeing any of the fan favorite background ponies in the comic?
Yes.
I tell you what, there's a number of fan favorite ponies, but I'm not going to tell you all that's in there. But if you ask one pony, I'll confirm yes or no.
Octavia.
Yes.
Not one.
But yes, Octavia's in it. But yes, you will see a lot of background ponies. You will, if your eye is really good, you're going to see a lot more than that.
Yeah.
I think my goal is for you to spend a little bit of time on each page. So.
Question over there?
Do you guys know what Derpy Boo's cutie mark?
They're bubbles.
Yeah, but what is it?
Probably that she's an airhead.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't know a lot about Derpy yet. Given time, we might find out.
I have heard rumors that she's getting her own episode. I can't confirm that because I don't know, but I have heard rumors.
I've heard rumors to that degree as well, which will surprise me given all the flack that Hasbro was given about her, but you never know.
But there we go. She's an airhead. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Or she really likes bubble wrap.
I can see that.
A question over here?
How much do you watch the show for fun, and how much do you watch the show for reference?
For me, it's always for fun.
It's always for fun.
I mean, I do put it on sometimes for reference, but if I do, I'm looking for something specific. When I'm drawing, I don't have it going deliberately because I don't want to copy something. But if I am looking, what does the library look like or whatever. But otherwise, I have found that watching Dick Van Dyke is very conducive to drawing ponies. So I watch a lot of Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah, it's for me, it's every morning when I get up with my kid. I have a daughter who's almost 2. We have pony time. We sit down on the couch and we put on an episode, and she's got her pile of all of her toys, and she sits there and she's got one in one hand, and right now Pinkie Pie and Zecora are the 2 that she's always got right here. And that's like,
I'm jealous that her kid has a Zecora because I can't find one.
But yeah, it's always for fun. And I mean, yeah, I've seen the episodes a million times, and I don't care because they're just fun to rewatch. And you always spot something new.
Yeah, I've been rewatching I've found a lot of things I've like, whoa, 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 back up. She just said what she did, you know. The show is hysterical. The other reason why I don't turn it on for reference is I end up stopping drawing and watching.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like, oh, I've only seen this 6 times, I gotta go for the 7th, you know.
Question way in the back?
Where do you get most of your inspiration to draw?
Her script. It's all kinds of things will inspire me. You know, like I said earlier, watching Star Trek, and suddenly I'm drawing the actress up on the screen. You'll catch something out of the corner of your eye. That shadow looks neat. I have to draw that. And as far as like the book goes, to give you specifics, there's certain scenes where the mood turns. You know, you go from, oh, every day in Ponyville to sudden, there's a dramatic moment. And I can't help but think of artists like Manola doing Hellboy with all those heavy shadows and things like that. And I'm incorporating that into these moments. So those kind of things are where I pick up inspiration.
I wish Mike Mignola would draw a pony story.
I'd like to see it.
That would be
Here's something we've gotten a lot of, which kind of blows our minds. I mean, since this has been announced, to give you an idea of the response to this comic, the day before the announcement at San Diego Comic Con, I cleared my DeviantArt account, cleared all messages, back down to 0. I have no messages, no responses from fans, etc. And I had 41 views on my page that day. The day of the announcement, my message box went out the door, and I suddenly jumped up to 1,200 views. By Sunday, the day everybody was coming home from San Diego, I went to 3,500 views that day alone. I'm getting messages in foreign languages, you know, things like that. But a lot of the messages that Katie and I are getting are, is this going to be grittier and darker? And somebody even said, man, I was really hoping for Marvel to get the book. Are you kidding?
Well, let's just put the thought into IDW works with Hasbro, so yeah, it's going to Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, it's like I think people are expecting the second story arc to be written by Stephen King and drawn by Bernie Wrightson.
I always tell everyone Alan Moore is doing the next
Yes.
one. But it's, you know, I had to ban myself from going on these pony message boards because one person wrote, I guess Katie Cook is capable of writing ponies, but I think her work is too cute. And I took a step back and I went, you just used too cute and My Little Pony in the same sentence. I don't like this guy. Also, he apparently does not follow my drunken rants on Twitter, because they happen a lot, about what I think should happen to Batman.
Yeah, we had a whole dinner about that the other night. If this doesn't get published, there's something wrong with the world.
And it's not cute.
It's not.
It's not cute. It's fun.
Oh, here's a question over here.
What was that final nudge that actually got you to watch the show?
For us, you know, Alice just got very curious. She's like, okay, there's a lot of fan response to the show. What is the big deal? And so that was what it was for her. And I came in and I saw her watching it. And for Flash and Vector animation, it's very smooth.
The backgrounds are beautiful.
Yes, the backgrounds are gorgeous. And so as you know, as an artiste, all that color and everything caught my eye. And then you start hooking onto those little subtle gags that they do. And so that was what it was for me. And then again, when they did the David Bowie reference, I was like, that's it, I'm hooked. This show's brilliant.
Well, for me, I have a friend that works on the show. He's the senior storyboard supervisor, and I think it basically came down to a conversation where he went, what do you mean you don't watch my show? And then I gave it a chance, and 3 episodes in, I went on iTunes and downloaded the first season. I was like, nope, we're pony people now. And it's so funny because my husband, he tries to say he's not a brony, He's like, I can't do it. I can't bring myself to it. But I catch him watching it with our daughter all the time. And I was drawing a Fluttershy, just kind of doodling, sitting on the couch. And he looked at me when her hair's parted the wrong way. And it was just one of those, you jerk. You love it. And Fluttershy is his least favorite pony, by the way.
I cannot.
Yeah. And Rainbow Dash is his favorite. And the fact that he even has an opinion, I give him grief about it. Because he'll be sitting there watching an episode. He's like, Fluttershy is such a doormat. What the heck? Why do people love her?
I did an in-joke against her husband because of that comment in the book. So I did something, and he just found out about it. He went on a rant. But I was like, how could you honestly say, I hate Fluttershy?
My husband does bonsai as a hobby. Fluttershy should be his favorite pony.
I mean, you might have a pony that you like the least, but everybody likes Fluttershy. You have to like
That's okay with you.
yeah. So, she's got a question.
Yeah.
You need to get a lightsaber.
Well, it's as someone who does a lot of work with Lucasfilm, I'm going to go ahead and say that they're probably not going to let that crossover happen.
They probably won't, no.
And Twilight Sparkle's a Jedi. She's old Ben. Pinkie Pie's kind of like R2.
I can see that, actually.
I already cast all of these in my head. Don't think I haven't.
Well, I had a question. Are you going to be creating any new characters, you as a team, and adding to the...
I think it's more of a, that hasn't been decided yet. The next story arc that I'm pitching has new characters.
Okay. But you don't know yet?
We don't know if they're going to let me do it yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's got a whole crew of baddies that I really want to do. And I got to push for it.
You know, I've got an idea or two for a couple villains. But again, we're playing in their sandbox. We have to play by their rules. And I think right now they're kind of waiting, all right, let's see how this first one takes off. Let's see how it's handled.
Response.
You know, but the feeling we've been getting recently with just the first issue is you know, they're giving us so much slack. I think it's going to get to the point where they're kind of looking over it as a technicality rather than,
Well,
you know.
I've talked to several comic book shops and they've approached me saying it's one of their most popular pre-orders for November. It has beat out some Marvel and DC titles on their pre-order list, and I think that speaks to the fandom, and also thank God people are pre-ordering it, because this book is going to live or die based on sales. If people don't buy it, they're not going to let us make more. And Andy and I are having so much fun working on it that if we don't get to make any more pony books, I'm going to cry.
Yeah. I haven't had a project that I've looked forward to working on like this in years. I mean, I actually get up and it's like,
Oh boy.
I walk from the bed and then I go to the table, and my wife can vouch that half the days I skip pants. I got to draw the ponies, you know. You know, she'll come in here and have some coffee. Oh, now the ponies look like ponies. Okay, good. You know, but we are having such a ball. They're going to have to pry this book out of our cold.
Yeah, because I mean, we spend until 1 in the morning texting back and forth. It's like, oh, I got an idea for this. And so all of a sudden it's like, my phone's over here and I'm attempting to spend the quality time that I always promise my husband that I'll spend. And like my phone's buzzing, it's like, just a second.
My phone, I mean, I've gone in deep. I've gone in real deep. On the way here, you know, we had a 6-hour drive up to Cincinnati. On the way here, we passed a house. Oh, that's Applewood's Colors. And I woke up out of a dead sleep to ask her, what was the name of the pony that went to the gala with Rarity? And she's like, Prince Blue. Thank you. I'm serious. And, you know, my phone has, for the text notification sound effect, it has Apple-owned bell chain. So my, the dead quiet of the night, oh, that's Katie. Previously it had Pat the Jack going, cock-a-doodle-doo, which after an encounter in a quiet elevator, I changed that. But yeah, during the middle of the night, you hear, cock-a-doodle-doo, that's Katie.
I had to let him know what he had to deal with in issue 4.
She hates me.
You guys will like it. You won't.
Well, I think we have to wrap it up, but are there any more questions? We have time for another one.
Are there going to be explosions?
There's...
I will say that the sound effect boom is in the first issue.
And it's actually something sort of like that, I guess, would be in issue 2.
So,
And what's the date of the first issue?
November 14th is the street date.
So buy it, pre-order it.
Yes, buy it, buy it, buy it. Give us your money. We do have joining tables. You can just come by and leave your wallet.
We're downstairs.
So, and if you guys are interested, come down to our table. We've got artwork. We've got all kinds of goodies. No, you can't see the first issue yet. I don't show sneak peeks. You need to wait for it to be published.
Got some very cool pony art if you haven't seen it already at their tables. Okay, well, thank you very much. Thanks so much for this. Thanks for